first of all, we had and would have had a thriving textile industry, a thriving steel industry, a thriving shipbuilding industry. Textiles everyone knows about. Steel, for example, many people don't. It was India that invented the world's finest steel, which is called ukka steel in the south and known as wood steel by the time they took it to Europe. That steel was so good that the Arabs loved it, took it, and made these famous Damascus swords with it. So we had all of this was completely destroyed. Our industrialization was set back. The kind of phenomenon of poverty and landlessness is a British invention. Yeah. We had an excellent system in which the tillers tilled the soil and paid very modest levels of revenue to the collectors who in many cases, zamindars, mansabdars, whatever, but they were in different parts of the country, different terms, but the system was universally pretty relaxed. Whereas when the British came, it became all very ruthless exaction of a very high rate. The lowest rate of taxation by the British was 45% of the crop. Very often it went up to over 90%. It was deeply insulting. There were no allowances made for famines, droughts, any concessions. The horrendous loss of life in famines.
Yeah,
about 35 million Indians were killed in unnecessary famines, including about 4 million in the Bengal famine of the Second World War. So it was really horrendous. I mean, these deaths can be laid squarely at the feet of the British. A fourth thing I definitely would point to is partition. We've talked about this already. But I don't think partition would have occurred, and this division of India and the festering sore that partition has become with 70 years of bristling hostility between India and Pakistan, now in its latest manifestation characterized by terrorism and now even the threat of nuclear war. It's shocking, and it's, again, a contribution of the British to our country. And finally, I would probably point to the sort of the colonization of the Indian mind and the setbacks in many ways that has created. I don't buy into the hyper-nationalism of some today because I find there's a rather petty and bigoted form of nationalism. But I'm proud of the nationalism that Indians should celebrate, of the great accomplishments of India that the British ignored or sidelined or forgot, and the all-inclusive pluralist nature of that nationalism.